Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Herlock of AA Shop Marketing. Our hope is to unite shop owners to tackle common stress points and challenges that they're experiencing within the auto repair shop space. Our mission is to guide you towards the best solutions for your shop. So tune in, join the conversation, and let's move your business forward. Good morning. I'm Brad from AA Shop Marketing. I'm here today to discuss credit card processing and bill pay and options as far as auto repair shop owners. And so we might have one or two more jumping in at a later time. And if so, great. But I'm very thankful for Jared and Rick being here as well as Rob. Thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to move around and just go from one person to the next and introduce everybody. The goal for today is to discuss for auto repair shop owners the experiences that we've had and our perspectives that we have in regards to sharing or pushing that credit card payment processing fees to the customers or managing that in a different way and seeing what those options are. And why don't we start with Rick? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your shop? You don't have to answer all the credit card processing questions just yet. Just tell us a little bit about your experience in this space.
Yeah, so I've been in the business for 25 years. I have owned this business for just a little over a year. I've been here for 7 years previous to that with the previous owner. And yeah, I have my sons working here with me. The name of the shop is First Choice Automotive in Huntington Valley, PA.
Great. How about you, Jared?
Yeah, so I've been in the industry. My parents started the business at 84, so I'm second generation. It's Michelak's. Actually, we're just rebranding now, so it's Michelak's Auto Repair. I have another shop in Hardeeville and one in Sowerton. And yeah, I started as a kid, pushing brooms, getting in the way, and just my passion for cars has really brought me to where I am. I love to help people. I love to fix cars, and that's why I do what I do. And I'm very happy to be part of this today, and definitely something that Brad and I talked about before. It's on my mind. Credit card processing fees continue to rise, and I'm really excited to talk about it today. So thanks for having us, Brad.
Sure. It's interesting, the number of shop owners that have that similar family experience. I just reconnected with a friend of mine from 15, 20 years ago, and he just recently started a shop, brand new shop, but the primary person running it, because he still has his full-time regular job, the primary person running it is actually his son. And they're doing it together, and the next son after him is also going to be doing it part-time, and they have a particular goal in mind of actually not just being a general repair. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The whole point specifically is just that what I like about the auto repair industry in general is there's so many families. It's such I really appreciate that. Yep. I think that's great. It's great. The other person on today's call is Rob from Paynata. Rob, why don't you jump in here?
So my name is Rob Davis from Paynata, and I've been in the payment space for about 11 years now, after owning my own business for several years. And I literally got into this space because I disliked merchant service people, and I knew there was a different way to go about it to solve problems instead of just be salesy. So I wanted to just literally go in and be a consultative approach. So it's where I'm at, and find businesses through relationships and see if we can solve problems. That's pretty much how I'm here, and known Brad for years, thankfully. And we always tend to want to help each other's business partners and business associations and business contacts.
Rob, it's been almost 28 years, maybe 27 years, along those lines.
98 was 1998. Yeah. So it was a while.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. And so again, the goal for this, for those who are going to be listening, the goal is maybe some of these experiences will and perspectives will resonate with you. My hope is that you'll be able to figure out what's best for your shop by having listened in on some of these conversations. And there's a bunch of different perspectives as far as this goes. And the one is, holy mackerel, look at how much money I'm spending on this. And then the perspective is, am I going to lose customers by pushing onto them? And the other perspective is, maybe we're giving them options. I'm trying to think of, it seems very common in certain industries, even 20 years ago, for them to say, hey, pay with cash, we'll cut a little bit. And sometimes that was still a little underhanded, like they were avoiding taxes or something like that. There's probably some of those cobwebs that are sitting out there when it comes to that piece of it. But Rick, I know that you actually are concerned with the idea of applying this by pushing the fee. Why don't you chat a little bit specifically about your concerns, or have you asked customers about this?
I have. I pitched them when I first took over, just to get a feel for what they were feeling. And the majority of them weren't really digging it at all. I did probably have about a dozen or so credit card processors come through here since I've taken over. And it seems to me that a lot of them, when they're asking me or telling me about the programs, it seems to be a lot of restaurants and food services, as opposed to actual shops. There is one shop down the street from me who is doing the cash discount, but his parking lot is completely empty. I don't know what's going on down there.
Right.
So that kind of scares me.
It's like you said, there might be other things going on there. We don't know. But you made it.
Correct.
Wait, you actually answered the follow-up question that I had, was when you presented it to them, to those customers. Did you position it as, I want you to pay the credit card fee? Or did you position it as, if I gave you the option of paying with cash and it cut the cost down a little bit, would that give you?
Yeah, I pretty much told them with the cost of everything going up, and it was something that we were kicking around, and we were just figuring out whether or not they would be on board with that. And again, I don't want to lose customers over it either, but that's basically how I brought it up to them.
All right. Interesting. Jared, what about you? As far as, have you tried certain things in the past that worked or didn't work?
This has definitely been a topic of mine for the last year and a half, 2 years. Because obviously credit card fees are going up, and it's a concern. For whatever reason, in America, we have these cards that people can get all their benefits from, and we as the business owners are paying for that. I don't have a problem with paying a small fee, 1.5%, but as they keep creeping up, 3.5%, 4 are we coming? Why are we as the business owners struggling with that and having to pay for those things? So yes, what I tried to start was FacePay was something that came out. I'm not endorsing them. We've used them. I actually recently dropped them because it wasn't really working for us. But the name doesn't really fit what they are. They're basically a bank-to-bank ACH almost, where we set up, and I've given that to the customer. An option is, hey, there's no fees here. You can just go one to the other. And the fee was, for me, was $99 a month. So realistically, if you could get your clients and customers to that, that's not a bad charge. That's a great way to go. I felt like they weren't very helpful in marketing themselves. I'm like, how can I market this? And they really weren't helpful to me, but it's definitely something on my mind that I really I'm interested today to ask some questions and hear what others have to say. I'm interested to hear what Rob has to offer. Because I was approached by another company who said, oh, well, you can put these fees on. I was like, how do I add that in? I heard someone say at one point the credit card company would add it right to the bill. I heard that's not the right way. And it sounds like there really isn't a right way. There's not a illegal way, but it's not really legit. So I'm just waiting to find out till that really is the right way with the major credit cards. I don't want to get in trouble. And again, there's still more research that needs to be done. So.
Okay. And guys, don't feel like you need to wait for me. While Jared was talking, if you had a question or an idea, just jump in and by all means ask.
Yeah. So Jared, it's funny you said that, because the word you're looking for is not illegal. It's called compliance.
That's the word. Thanks, Rob.
No, and a lot of people are confused with that, because businesses in general have a massive misconception to it. And the misconception is there is a non-compliant issue with a thing called surcharge. Surcharging is adding 3% to the bill. That's surcharge. That is not compliant. Cash discounting is the whole different thing. And there's a very big misconception, because it's basically the credit card machine should spit out 2 numbers. Here's the price if you pay for cash, Mr. Customer. Here's the price if you pay for credit card. And it gives the customers a choice. And another thing, Jared, your thing is FacePay. That's one of those gimmicky things. Zelle's free, completely free. There's no fee for you even. And Zelle, at this moment, banks are doing it. And that's a brand that's recognizable through the banks.
I heard there was a fee. I heard there was a fee or a limit to Zelle.
There's a limit, correct? Yes, and that is the other thing you have to find out from your banking organization. There's no fee at this moment. Just like Venmo, you could take Venmo before it didn't cost you anything. Now that you're a registered Venmo business, it's 1.9% and 20 cents per interaction.
So it's Venmo. I did hear that somebody had it. If you're a business, there was some fee, so it's Venmo.
Correct. Yep, Venmo. Yep. and the Cash App, they're all going that way. They're never going to let you move money and get money for free. Let's just put it that way. So Zelle's free at the moment, but just understand it'll change. I always like to say, give them as many options as possible because it increases the chance of reducing your AR and increasing the fact how fast you get paid. And we can all take old-fashioned checks, but digital banking is a better way to go because one, you can verify it faster. You don't have to drive to the bank or do a digital bank app. It can all be happen right away. So yeah, these are great points you brought up, Jared, and I appreciate that too because the compliance is a question to a lot of people.
Look, so again, speaking says Zelle, is there? I remember with the face pay, it was like if you get the confirmation that money's in the bank, they can't pull that back. Is that similar to Zelle? I don't use Zelle. My wife does, but I don't. So I don't know.
Yeah,
really
it's the same thing. Same thing. You have a confirmation that's there. And see, Zelle is one of the few things I've seen. I hate to say this with all these other things like the face pay and stuff like that. It's like the VHS Betamax days. If you're all old enough to remember what that was, I feel like Zelle just became VHS. And it's accepted now and people understand it. It's a brand that's out there and Betamax is starting to fall by the wayside because it's the weird name that no one else really knows. So we're in that direction. And the funny thing is where this all came about, the cash discounting, it came from the auto industry. It actually came from the petrol side, but auto repair shops who were doing it, it was their way of not paying massive fees for people every time someone got to tank a gas. So that's why we've seen 26 years ago, they instilled this where it was one price for cash, one price for credit. And it's always 10 cents a gallon difference, which is much more than 3% if you think about it.
And so something that Jared said and something you just said just made me think of this because I've gone to gas stations where I'm like, okay, there's the price. And then I go to pay and it's not the price because, and I feel duped. And so I feel like there is a need, as Jared's point, marketing help or conversation help to present this correctly. So here's the price you pay by credit card. Here's the price if you use a digital cash app. Here's the price for actual cap. And here's the price for gold nuggets or something. I don't know.
No, Bitcoin and things like you're 100% right. There is. And it's about the marketing. And that's one of the reasons why when we move people to the dual pricing, I mean, I do any format I can handle for a business, but cash discounting, dual pricing, we give them signage for it. We tell them how to present it to their customers. And not only is it signage for their countertop, but also, like I said, the credit card terminal itself literally will say the two different prices. It's giving them an option. So to be honest with you, we're trying to force them to get them to pay you in cash. I know that sounds weird if someone has a $2,700 auto repair bill to come in with $2,700 in cash, but you would prefer it. They don't know why they would prefer it, but digital currency is not the only way. So we're trying to do it to remove and reduce your costs, but also to give them more options. Let's remember that we can all get cash and not have to walk in and pay with a credit card every single time. Because look, let's be honest. All of us have walked into Wawa and paid for a cup of coffee that was $1 with a credit card. We've all done it one time or another.
I once had a photocopy done. I felt bad for the guy but I just didn't have any cash on me, which takes me to a point also is that if you present that to me when I get to the counter, I don't have a Zelle account. I don't have a Venmo account. Right? Jared, my wife has a Venmo account. But that's, at that point, it's almost too late for me. If you would have let me know ahead of time, maybe I could have been more prepared. And I wonder if the marketing or presentation needs to start earlier on. Are they allowed to publish on their Facebook page? Are these shop owners allowed to publish? Actually, let's say it this way. If Wawa started to advertise on TV, cash discount.
National chains are doing that. They literally are. And it's a misnomer name too, by the way, you guys. This is why I, as a business owner for years, hated the term, when you look at your credit card statements, it says your discount. It's not a discount. It's money that's being discounted and removed from your bank for the fees you're paying. So it is a funny little misnomer with the name. But you're right. There is, and most of the national chains, put it this way, you can't, in our region, you can't pay your utility bills without paying a convenience fee, as they call it. You have to pay a convenience fee if you're paying over the phone and even online in some aspects. So everybody's done it. We just don't want to admit it. I had a restaurant owner that I spoke to. I remember October, November, and December of 2019. And I said, I know in your case, this would work out well. It was the perfect size client ticket amount, $70 a ticket average. And he said, no way in heck I'd ever do it to my customer. COVID came and everything changed where he had shortage of employees and his costs were killing him. So within 2 months into COVID, he decided to change it. And I said, have you lost a lot of customers? He says, do I care? It's the amount of money I'm investing back into my business. He goes, and if I'm losing a small percentage of customers, and I said, that's a really weird way to act. But I was not an adapter. I was a late adapter to it. This has been legal and available through the banking organizations for 8 years. I was that person going, no way I'm paying it. And then I went, yeah, but I see the benefit now because it's helping business owners invest money back into their business. With the restaurant owners, I know it's not the same as you guys, but what they looked at, it was like, now I can take that, this guy's case exactly, it was $4,300 a month on average with his credit card fees, and I can give bonuses to the employees who stuck with me through COVID.
Interesting. I want to know, are we allowed to advertise on our social media that we offer cash discounts? Yes.
And it's exactly called that. It's cash discounting because you're saying there's two prices. There's dual pricing.
Now, can I, instead of saying on the terminal, instead of saying the price for credit card is this and the price is cash is this, can I just say the price is this, but if you pay cash, it's this? Can I avoid the word credit card on that display?
No, it has to be displayed. It's customer facing. Everything's about customer facing.
I'm just saying it's still the price, right? That's what I want to say. I'm not trying to do, okay. All right. But so it feels like a fee at that point, right? Rick, you probably agree. It still feels like a fee. Even if you put in front of them, card price is this, cash price is this. Does it feel like a fee? What do you think, Rick?
Yeah. Now, so one of the things in this industry, and I'm sure Jared will agree with this, our industry runs really slow with that kind of stuff. I charge a shop charge to every customer that comes in. It's 8%, capped at 40. Some shops are higher, some shops are lower. It took about 3 years for our customers to be able to accept that. I mean, they would come in and scrutinize. You know, the difference between the restaurant industry and this industry is, if people go out, and I'm the same way, I'm going out to entertain myself. I don't even look at the bill. I don't care. When people come into our industry, they're already...
I'm trying to pay you to save the day of my car that's not running. I get it.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I'll get people that come in here for $60 oil change, and they're scrutinizing the bill for $60 because they're just that angry that they're here. As opposed to a restaurant where people are happy, they're eating,
they're drinking. You for $60, I just not spend a $200 bar bill.
So exactly. Right. And then, around here with the Jersey Shore, it was a popular destination. And people were down there for the summer. They're getting hit with credit card fees down there. They're used to it. They don't care. But they come up to a restaurant up here, their entertainment, they're getting hit with it up here. They don't care. But they come to our industry, now it's a problem. Now they don't want to pay. So it is challenging.
I agree with you 100%, Rick. And I was talking about it earlier, and I feel like the play on words is very important in our industry. I think the cash discount is how we need to present it because it works. I do know that I will be addressing this within the next year, and my feeling is I'm going to up my labor rate, that whatever percentage, and then the cash discount will cover that. Mm-hmm. Just because that way it's not, I don't have that sign, hey, 3% charge or whatever for credit card fee. It's that play on words, so it's a little easier on the ears. And they're like, oh, discount? Discount's good. I'll take a discount. I just feel that's a common, I hear that all the time, Jared, is that why are we actually passing this particular fee? Just raise your hourly labor rate across the board. And I hear that's another concern. If you think about it a little bit further, you're actually making sure that you're covering this particular expense across all of your customers, including those who actually want to pay cash, when the expense is actually being incurred by this group of customers. Yep. And I don't like to use the word fair ever because it's just usually a ridiculous word that describes, I don't know, first graders. But so I would say it makes sense to charge the person who is incurring the cost, right? Or whatnot. So
to that point, Brad, it's really funny you said that because the wording is there, but the biggest thing I've seen too is also as an age delimiter. When you have businesses that their bigger percentage of their clientele is over 35, it's a problem. If it's under 35, it's not a problem. So I see, and I'm not trying to be ageist here, but when you see a younger person under the age of 35 say, I'm going to order a milkshake from DoorDash and the milkshake's $8 and they spent $6 to get it to them, I'm like, what?
All right. So, Rick, here's your homework assignment, Rick. I want you to ask another 10 people their perspective, but you're not allowed to ask a single one of them that aren't under the age of 35. I want you to ask 10 35 youngest customer. And let's finish the experiment that you started, right?
The other thing too with this industry is, and I'm again, Jared will agree with this. We've been underpaid for decades in this industry, and it's a matter of getting everybody on board. If every shop owner in the area is following the same type of procedures and charging then people have no other place to go. They're going to go to the big chains, big corporations, the Walmarts, but they're not going to have a great experience. And to those companies, people are just a number. Or I actually have physical relationship with my customers. I mean, they come in, I know my first name, but it's, so if every shop in our area is going to cash discount, then people have no other place to go. They're just going to accept it. But everybody has to be on that same page. Now, thankfully, with a lot of groups on Facebook and stuff and shop owners across the country, we're getting to that point where we're getting paid what we're worth. And every shop owner is doing it. Every shop in the area is doing it. So this person can't say, I'm going to go to Bob's Auto Repair because he's charging $40 an hour.
I think Rick made a good point. So again, I work for Napa and I deal with 500 or so auto care centers, and it's the communication and it's the fear of doing something that other competitors aren't doing. For example, I just met with 10 auto cares that got together in Delaware, a business development group, and they spoke about this. I didn't bring it up. They brought it up in the meeting. And the one thing that was talked about is they don't want to be the first guy. That, like Rick said, they really don't want to be the first guy. And so they'd rather put it on shop supplies or something else, because that took years to get the shop supply item. They spoke about that just like Rick did here in our forum. But that was real important, that they didn't want to be the first guy. So communication is important. And Rob had mentioned that too, because I went to an auto care center with a vehicle. Obviously, I went there because they buy Napa parts. And so when I went there, I got the bill and they charged me 3%.
Yep.
Legal or not legal. That's what they did. And I accepted it because they're a customer and they buy a lot of Napa parts. But I have to admit, I wasn't thrilled with being charged 3%. Because I didn't know that up front that they were going to do that to me. Mm-hmm. There was no communication. There's no sign on the door. There's nothing.
Go ahead. Zach can attest to that too, Mark. With my new location, it's been a year and a half. And the way the business is run prior to how I do it is very different. And I've been on my guys, my counter guys, like, listen, you have to set the expectation. We're the new guys now. We're doing things very differently. And right now we're reaping the benefits of some poor communication. We've lost certain customers, a couple fleets, and I've gone back and figured out why, and we're making those changes. But you have to set that expectation from the first phone call to the drop off to the first call when it needs repair, and then when they're here picking up the car delivery. It has to be consistent all the way through. So again, it comes right down to this same thing. People need to know, customers need to know, and have them being made aware of it from the start. Like you said, Mark, you can be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Recently, I lost a customer when I took over here, long-time customer, but he didn't spend a whole lot of money here. You can look back on his record. He was one of these guys that come in, he acts like he was your best friend. And then when you look at his history, and it's oil changes and clean inspections. And when his car needs something, he trades it in and gets a new one. Right. So he's really not spending any money here. He came in for a tire repair. The old owner here was charging $20 to fix a tire. I jacked it up to 30 and he didn't like it. And I explained to him, I said, it's $30, but at my labor rate, it takes about a half hour to repair a tire. You can bring it in, check in, take it off, blah, blah. That should be $85. I should be charging you $85, but I'm charging you 30. So the guy never comes back and he starts bashing me on all my social media, leaving bad reviews. And he lied about every review that he left, stating that he took it to his new mechanic and I fixed all the wrongs that he fixed, made everything right that was wrong. And none of it was true. And I even commented back on the reply saying that if anybody felt that his review was true, come into the shop and I'll show you that I have the text messages. I have his repair records. It shows it right there. The guy never got anything done. If I recommended any maintenance on it, he never did it. He was like, I'll do it myself. And then it would come in and the air filter was still dirty 20,000 miles later.
Sounds like you have the same type of trouble customers we do, Rich.
Yeah, but that's all we have to deal with.
And then when worry about the relationship customer. Here I am in marketing, and I'm probably one of the main marketing people that say don't offer coupons. It's not that you don't ever. It's just that I'm not a huge coupon fan because it sometimes attracts the wrong type of customer. I want relationships, and Rick, you touched on this stuff about meeting people, and so it's harder for me to be upset with you about the option of getting a cash discount. If you know me, if I know you, if we have a trust-based relationship built up, and then that maybe there's the key, right? It's the marketing up front. It's the letting them know every step, Jared said, but it's also trying to find ways that you can connect with them outside.
Yeah, I don't do coupons either. I do 4 seasons cards every year at Thanksgiving. I send them out. If a customer spends X amount of dollars, they get one. And it's $25 off each season, so it's $100 throughout the whole year, and it goes. It's basically for customer retention.
I'd rather give that coupon to an ongoing customer than a brand new.
Right. But then you'll get the occasional customer where his uncle gets one, and his uncle doesn't come here, and the guy comes in trying to give me 2. I had that recently, and it aggravated me. It was terrible. This guy was a doctor. He makes 6 figures a year. And he's trying to get over on $50 or get a free oil change.
And that also is what I was thinking about with the tire store from $20 to $30, $10. Yeah. Is that two gallons of gas?
Yeah, it was so petty. It was so petty, and the fact that he left those reviews, I couldn't believe it. Thankfully, most of my customers know that this guy's full of it. It's crazy.
And it's dangerous and that's a different topic for a different time. It's dangerous to respond to angry reviews. It's a tightrope act. Well, let's get back on the topic of processing. And Mark, thank you for introducing yourself. I saw that you joined us. I appreciate that. That was perfect. So I want to keep this conversation going though on point. What, Rick, are you going to take me up on the idea of do you have customers under the age of 35?
I do. But it's mostly my customers' kids, the next generation coming in, the older folks. I tried to, the previous owner here, his mother lives in a retirement community. So we basically had the whole local retirement community coming in here to the point where, I was trying to push some of them out because they were more trouble than they were anything. It was every time it gets cold, the tires are low. I had to stop what I'm doing, check this, check that. And they would be the first ones to scrutinize a bill, always. They'd sit there and they'd spend a half hour sitting at my desk looking at every line item on the bill to making sure that,
are you required to put every single line item on the bill?
No, you're not. And I try not to. I worked at one shop years and years ago where this guy put every nut and bolt, every can of brake clean.
And what about the hazardous waste disposal and stuff like that? Because
that goes to shop supplies. I consider that. And when people ask what, I don't get asked anymore, but once in a while we'll get a new customer will ask what it's about. And I'll just, I tell them, listen, it's trash disposal, it's environmental fees, it's getting rid of your oil, it's getting rid of your oil filters, it's windshield washer fluid, any items that we top off, it covers all.
You don't want to just put on the bill instead of hazardous waste or disposal, just talk to your local congressman.
So Brad, back to the dual pricing thing, there's something I wanted to add too. The difference is when you're building your shop fees in and your labor fees in to cover it, it's called a tax liability. Tax liability is the biggest issue is when you're dual pricing, cash discounting, you're passing the fees on to the customer. It's less money the business collected for something you already just had to spend. So your accountant has less headache in the long run with the tax liability shift where you're not getting 1099 for as much money that you already put out because you had to cover the fees, if that makes sense. So these are some of the other reasons that part of the industry is growing in that aspect. It's, like I said, this has been available for 8 years. It's what I've seen in the last 2 years. Its growth is crazy for us because it's growing right now at over 18% per month, which for us, I've never seen anything like this. In the last 10 months is the fastest, even in those 2 years, that I'm watching. It used to be like 1 out of every 20 customers would do it. Then it became 1 out of 15. Now it's 1 out of 8 or less is going to do dual pricing. It's quite surprising because there's so many other benefits to the business. Remove
but here's the idea, and I don't know that it violates antitrust laws, but let's go to your closest 3 competitors and have a sit down with them over breakfast and say, on January 1, we're all doing this.
Yeah.
And then it solves Rick Park about the competitor not doing it, right?
Well, exactly. But no one's going to go 100%. Yeah. A lot of what we do beyond just the dual pricing, when I do it, is to make sure it's done. Because one of the biggest things, I think Rick and I had a brief conversation about this in his shop, is making sure you do what's right for the customer's protection. And even that, some of this is most shop owners. If I have a teenager, and Rick and I talked about this, I said, if I send my teenager in to pick up the car and I'm saying, I'm going to give you a credit card, pay for it over the phone so you can just come and pick it up. No, big no. And that's one of the things we do is you try to assess the situation and go, how can I get a payment link that goes on their website or their Facebook or their social media that's done properly that allows it, because it's called a PCI term, personal credit card industry compliance. Is you should never see or hear or touch their credit card. It always should be them. That's the way we're supposed to go because of all these breaches.
Why the newer machines, the card doesn't actually exchange hands.
And that's one of the reasons. So here's the thing is if it's done right and it's done proper, one, you could do a text to pay. You could do a hosted link on their website. You could keep card on file. So when the customer comes back, you have a tokenized encrypted safety reason. All of these things, it doesn't do it pretty done
a certain way. Like it's not actually a scratch piece of paper with the number,
which I have seen shops do. Trust me, I've seen them do it. They open a file folder and they have it written on a post-it. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't. It's like a financial nightmare. But that's what I said. So we come into a business. The way I do it is I come in, I consult over a situation. Rick's not wrong. It depends on your clientele. It depends on the geography. There's a lot of reasons it depends on if dual pricing is exactly right. It's becoming more right, like you said. Rick's like, it's when it becomes more the norm, I understand. Even so are you up to snuff at doing the right thing to protect the customer? And the customer, if everything comes down to it, I don't have a choice to pay the hazardous waste material. You're putting it on there. And that's how most shops that I've dealt with so far are handling it. Hey, this is just what it is. There's a convenience. If you want to pay with a credit card, this is what you do. You're paying the fee.
For your own rewards.
Yep.
That's really what the 3% is, right? Or the 4%. They're paying for the rewards card.
Yeah,
So
there are 100. And that's why it's funny. It's funny you said that though, Jared, about the Discover cashback rewards. You're the one paying their cashback rewards. So they're paying it for themselves.
And the customers don't realize it. I've heard from other friends who have done it, and they inform customers, and the customer with the card, they don't realize that we're actually paying for that until.
Right. I think it's a credit card company doing it.
There are 732 different interchange levels that are all covered by that. People like, what do you mean? I look Visa. If Visa has a 4% cashback reward, 3%, they're all different levels, every single one. And that way, when you do it, it uniforms it and removes it from you. You're not paying for them to go on vacation next year. And I know that's weird, but this is how you're putting money back in the business. And again, so you don't have to raise their prices as fast.
Hold on. And I want us to make a suggestion that is probably bringing some compliance issues somewhere, right? Here's my idea. And I just thought about it this morning, and I wondered if the shop owners are paying for their rewards that are being handed to them from Visa, why can't the shop owner pay for rewards to their customers for more like a loyalty type program? Now it's no longer a calf discount. It's actually one price. And if you don't use a credit card, the next time you get a tire change or fix from me, it's actually only 20 instead of 30 because you paid with cash the last 3 times. I'm saying you come up with your own reward program to make them use cash and not use the Visa or MasterCard game of the. Are we allowed to do that?
You can, because it's a dual price and cash discount, and you're giving them a reward for using that.
That would probably work better in this industry because, I think that would be
interesting.
So that's something that just popped into my mind too, Brad, with what you had said is charging these fees, using that money, these businesses are using it to give benefits to their employees. What about sprucing up your waiter and really have a killer for your customers, like really nice coffee bar and really nice treats? It's no charge. There's a great benefit. And again, the consumer sees that. It's wow, what's in it for me? Wow, I go into their shop and I'm getting all this great fluffy stuff and good food and whatever. So just
really replified, right?
Jared, I love it. That's an amazing topic too. That's an amazing idea, is that investing back, giving them free Wi-Fi, sit and do your work while you're sitting here waiting for your car, whatever it is. But yeah, like you said, free coffee when you walk in. And then it is paid for by doing. That's a great, 100%. Invest in the business, invest in your customers. That's right.
Set up a bunch of seats that were left over from an old plane, and you set a bunch of rows really crowded. You get them headphones, and you let them watch a movie while they're getting the oil change. No, but seriously though, like I do know of shops that have a large screen set up with video game console to allow people to video game or watch a movie or whatnot. And now, of course, if there's more than one person in the waiting room, then you're inflicting. I'll use the word inflict because I'm not a big fan of video games. But you're inflicting that on the other people in there. But it's interesting to make it a more posh type, welcoming environment. Rick, you said that they don't care about paying that extra fee when it's an entertainment-based style thing. Maybe we add, to Jared's point, a little more entertainment feeling to the experience. I'm not getting my oil changed. I'm having this experience. And wow.
Yeah, there's a couple shops out there that are not in this area that I know of, but through the group I'm on Facebook, where they'll leave a little goodie bag in the customer's car. Pencils and pens,
coffee mug,
a hammer, this glass.
And I actually have
that's something
I have actually in my car, but I went and were around my desk as well. I have a soapstone that's made specifically for the cup holder in the car.
Yep.
And it absorbs the condensation from the mug or the drink. And it really is effective. You don't ever have that puddle down there. I just keep it. And
I think we have that from the same business, Brad.
Yeah, we have it from, we were actually the ones that actually gave that to that business. But anyway, that's another point. But I think that's actually an easy, because those are not expensive, right? That's an easy, low-cost item that you have the name of your shop right there in the bottom of their cup holder every single time. But that's the other thing, is that you want it to be, if you're going to do something like, just from a marketing perspective, you don't want it to be something that's a throwaway. You want something to be useful. What's going to be used or useful that isn't going to just be clutter or just whatever. I've got a million of these. And that's how they're going to keep that with your name on it, right? So I was talking to a shop recently, and they were talking about how they went out of their way to get not just the cheap t-shirts. They flipped it over. They got the expensive t-shirts, and they have the perfect fit. You've seen the commercials for the better fitting t-shirts. And that now they have people actually coming in and asking for their shirts. It's like that. How do we actually improve the experience so that they don't care about looking at the individual line items? And how do we position it so that we're doing this for you? It's not an initial charge, it's a cash discount, right? So I had a conversation with a shop owner just the other day, and she was saying that from her perspective, it wasn't about age. I still think it is largely about age, but she was adding another element to it. And she was describing the types of cars that they handle. And they were all upper echelon, nicer, higher end cars. And that was another question, was just out of curiosity, Jared, what type, is there a typical type of car that you're handling? And do you think there's going to be a connection between those who will push back and those who don't?
I would say no. This is my perception. So we work on everything. From American to Euro cars. So we do work on everything, and some small fleets. I feel like some of the upper echelon people are all about convenience. So yes, they're more a credit card person. And a lot of times, if they have the money, those little extra fees are not as big of a deal. Again, it presented and setting the stage from the get-go. I also believe, Brad, generationally, it is a difference, because I know myself, as opposed to the 30 or 35 or 30 and below, very different. Kind of like Rob had said, I think it was Rob, you mentioned about the DoorDash. I cannot believe these people buying food and paying almost double to have delivered. I'm like, how much money you're wasting?
Just get in your car and drive there. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Or pack your lunch. Like I pack my lunch stuff. I can afford to go out every day, but to me, that's wasteful. And yeah, it's just, I really think a lot of this is generational more than anything.
It is, Brad. It is. I think Rob made a good point about the age, because I have 4 kids in the ages of 22 and 40. And the bottom line is they don't care about all the fees that they're paying as much as my generation.
Yep.
But the issue that we have is most of the shop owners are my age, not Jared's age. And so what happens is we're afraid, our generation, to make a move and offer cash discount or do anything, because we're thinking like our generation, there's extra fees and things. But the generation under 35, as Rob describes, it doesn't matter. I go to my 27-year-old and I say, you know how much this is costing you to do this? I had my 40-year-old, 5 years ago, he lived with us for a short time. And all of a sudden, before I know it, a pizza guy's coming to our house. He did nothing. It was all done by the phone. And he's paying all these exorbitant fees for DoorDash. And he thinks nothing of it. I think it's a matter of educating the customer, knowing your customer base, and just communicating well. Because marketing is important. It's always good to have loaner cards and free coffee. All the good shops are mostly doing that. And we have a lot of waiters. We don't have a lot of waiters still in the independent repair business. So that's all expected, but it's more expected than a nice marketing tool. It's more expected, unfortunately. I think it's better just to communicate the cash discount. And the fear of our older shop owners is they're just hesitant. That's just my feeling from dealing with them so long and so often.
Great. No, you're right. I think you're right. That's what it comes down. It's a transition that nobody likes transition and change. Let's be honest. But we're definitely starting to see a lot of things in our society change. There's stuff like, you ask the average kid, you want to go to Blockbuster? They don't even know what that means anymore. So look at the things that are relevant. I talked to a shop owner recently, and this was funny. He was like, I don't do Facebook. That's stupid. And I was going to introduce him to Brad and his company, what they do. And I said, I don't care if you do it, but to your customers. He goes, yeah, I'm sure they do. Obviously they do. So we have to adapt to who they are. If we want our customers to grow, we have to be someone. It doesn't mean you have to turn yourself around and be who they want you to be, but at the same extent is find a happy balance. Where is there being in any relationship is important, and you have to understand what their needs are from that aspect as well. It's funny you said that though, about it is generational though. It's definitely
And Mark brought up a great point with the loaner cars. I have 2 loaner cars here that we use, and somebody recently blew up one of my customers. Never said anything. Brought the key back to us, picked up his car, and left. And then left us with a car with a blown transmission. And unfortunately, it was a Suzuki, and you can't get parts for them. And they wanted $4,000 for a used transmission, and I wasn't going to do it. So I had to buy a new car to replace that. So now I'm charging $25 a day. Before it was free. And then that's a big difference, and people were griping about it at first. But you look at it and you explain to them, you say, listen, I don't drive the car. You guys do. My responsibility is to put tires on this thing constantly, put brakes on this thing, change oil, maintain it for you, not for me. It's not like I'm using the car for my personal use. The customer's the only ones using it. And even trying to get them to put gas in it. Now we have a form that they have to fill out. It says, just like the rental car companies, here it is. Don't bring it back dirty. Bring it back with a full tank of gas. I don't care if it's $5 that you have to put in it. I'm just putting my foot down with it, because it was a good idea for a while until something like this happens, and you got to make a change.
Are you recording the miles?
So
it's like a trip meter as far as how many miles they've driven on the loaner car?
No, I'm not. And I probably should. I probably should put GPS trackers in them, but I don't.
I'm just thinking that you could also, if you had the tech in place to make that easier, then you could actually adjust the charge based on their usage.
Right. One of the things that, when they first started griping about it a little bit, which wasn't too many people, there's a couple people that griped about it, but, the way I explained it to them, I said, listen, if you go to the dealer, it's going to be $60 for a rental. If you need to rent a car and it's something that's covered under warranty, and if you want to Uber home, it's going to cost you $30. Here, it's $25. You get the car for the whole day. So you can go food shopping, go out to the movies, go to the mall, whatever it is you want to do. You have the car for the whole complete day. And then once they realize that, it says, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. It would cost me more to Uber home than that.
Work helps. When I take my car to my mechanic, I actually just walk home. And I figure I could use it's not a big deal. It's only a few miles. How big of a deal is that? And
don't tell a younger person that it's not going to. And there's no way in it.
Well, I can walk 6-7 miles that day. That's that. I can stand for the exercise, right? Ask my doctor. But anyway, no, seriously though, there was a time when I wish I didn't do that. There was only one that I wish I didn't do that. I was walking back I had just left the house. I was walking back to get my Jeep, and I get a phone call. It turns out that my mother-in-law had picked up my son from school that day and was just in a car accident. Well, and she needed me right away. And that's all I knew. Or she was slipping out and I couldn't get her to talk to me as far as what was going on. I ran those 3 miles. That was scary. That was scary, right?
So up that ice cream.
Yeah.
The longer time that paid off would have well worth that $45 or $50 charge get out. But anyway, no, all right. We put a pin in the idea that it's the owners of particular types of cars or the newer cars, and it's more about the age thing. And my thought is, if 100% of your customers would push back against this, then I wonder if you don't have enough younger customers.
Yeah, which is what you need. And I would agree, because that comes back down to marketing, not to be supportive of you 100%, Brad, but yes, it comes down to younger people seem to be more frivolous. They just, we're more frivolous as we get older, which I understand in time, but it's, and there's a reason, just to touch on that, Brad. We've looked at it as a company, statistically speaking, one of the fastest growing things in the country for us. And I tried not to bring this up because it's comparable, but it's not comparable, is dealerships and the service they do. Where you have dealerships doing $100,000 to $200,000 a month to one. We have one that signed up the other month. It was $2.1 million a month just in service. And they're all doing dual pricing because the fact that the dealership, and trust me when I say, you all know what these dealerships are making, but they're making a lion's share of their money on the service side, not the sales side. Right. And the fact that they're all doing it was weird to me, because the one dealership just happened the other day was $660,000 a year in credit card that they read. So here's the thing, younger buying audience.
Yeah. And here's a question for you. And you don't actually have to answer, Jared, Rick, you don't actually have to answer this, but it's worth thinking about. How many customers, if you did not pay a single dollar in processing fees, but you also ended up losing customers, how many customers how many customers can you afford to lose while that is still a net relationship? So let me explain. In the insurance world, which is 30 years ago, I used to work for an insurance company, and one thing I noticed was their attitude was, we're going to increase the rate every single year. And we know that our risk level is going to be smaller because we're going to service fewer customers because people are ready to leave. But the increase in premium was going to outpace the loss in customers. Right. If you lose 5 customers because they don't want to pay credit card fees, but you've saved $5,000 or $3,000 or $2,000 a month, and back to Rick's point, if that customer was just an oil changer, does it really matter? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I never really thought about that. And like you said, if it's going to be the older generation that we're going to lose, these are the people that aren't spending the money anyway. Especially since COVID, a lot of these older folks, they come in, they're driving 1,000 miles a year. So it's going to take you 5 years to get anything out of them.
Yep.
But yeah, I never really thought about that. And if I lose that, then I'm not really losing.
You're working less with more money in your bank, which, I mean,
correct.
Now, Mark, we're not trying to offend. You're the senior on the call here.
That's sorry. Yeah, it's okay.
I was offended every deal, right? No pay.
Yeah. Can I ask the group this question of what about like text to pay? again, you're dealing with a generation that does everything on their phone. Are you guys open to that? Because that 35 and under generation wants to do everything on their phone.
So-
What's your thought on that?
We offer that at my original.
Do you?
Yeah, we do. My new location, we just recently got some new things in place, so we haven't started it yet, but it's one of the things that we want to do.
Okay.
It's been good. It makes very nice and easy.
I use Auto Text Me, and there is some integration where I can do it. I'm not using it yet. I use it more for communication and reviews and stuff like that, and follow-ups and stuff like that. But it does have the ability to do that.
It's really funny, Mark. Your thing is we had an industry that was not attached to the auto one per se, but the biggest thing is the majority, they had over 40% of their clients were over the age of 65. And their concern was technology. What we found out was they were using QR and text to pay. They had a 38.2% uptick in payments and speed of payments in less than 3 months. And the reason why they had it that way is we think it's because of COVID, but 65 and older, QR and text isn't as foreign as you think anymore. We have to adapt as a society. We just see these things. Yes, it might seem a little more convoluted, but if you would have told me 10 years ago I was going to see anyone over the age of 65 with a smartphone, I'm like, no way. That's all there is now. So they adapt, and strangely enough, we are all tending to pivot. We're the one that's being reluctant and holding this back, yet we have older and younger who are fine with it all. Older is slower to adapt, yes, but at the same extent, they still are. And I think it's a great way to add if you can do anything. Here's the thing is email, text, and QR to pay. If you can add those into your repertoire of how they're picking a payment, anything you can do to not ever see or touch a credit card it's safer for you for liability.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the one thing that with the text to pay that you're limited to, and Robbie, you can probably speak to this, is I was told because you're actually not getting that physical signature, it's a lot easier for them to deny that payment or have to charge back or whatever. To that.
So yes, so you're right. What happens is it's a bigger risk, so you pay more. It's called a keyed rate versus an inserted rate. The difference is because it's coming from their IP and their phone, it still's not as easy as if I gave a credit card number over the phone, you can't prove it was me.
Okay.
That's easy to get out of.
Right.
When it comes to something that was sent to them and it came from their number or their IP address, it is easier than you and I being in person and inserting a chip, but it's still not. It's not, there's no fault. I mean, it's still on them.
Okay.
And a lot of this, just so you guys know, a lot of people don't understand this. If you've ever been to a restaurant and you see some of them have older point of sale systems and people ever swipe the card, the black stripe down the side, that's like the biggest no. That's like taking a credit card over the phone, because there's a big scam going on right now where people will go to restaurants like that, run up a $250, $300 bar bill and restaurant bill and call their bank the next day. You could have me signing for my card on camera and I'm still not liable. If I say it wasn't me, my bank will just give me my money back and that business is out. So that's why the biggest problem is taking it over the phone versus the text. They can't get out of it that easy. They have to prove it. So it all comes with liability and risk.
Green pieces of paper, not returnable.
Yes. Which is 100%. This is why I keep saying, convince your customers to bring cash. It's not, come on, the average bank right now, you can get $1,000 out at an ATM now. It's not that weird. And don't get me wrong, I understand to say that we have, I know you have repair bills. They're $1,700, $2,300, $4,000. I get it. But I'm just saying, for the most part, is why are you not, and I've talked to shop owners about this too, why are you not requiring a deposit up front if it's you installing a new transmission for them and the transmission costs $4,000? Why are you not asking for a deposit up front? If you have it, you have the card on file, boom. You want me to use the same card on file to charge? Absolutely. Go ahead. That way you already have the protection and buffer for the business.
Yep. Interesting.
Yep. But like I said, the biggest thing back to it is that why you have to do what's in the best interest of the business. Because again, investing back into your business. And again, like Rick and I had this conversation about talking about, he knows he wants to market to bring in a younger group. Investing in the business, if you lose a couple customers because they don't like the fact that you're charging them credit card fees, if you've already added 10 new customers and lost 2, the net win is who cares? I hate to say that. And I'm not trying to be cold, but if you're getting a younger, better, newer client, It's not really a big a deal if you lose a couple older ones.
Yeah, it sounds like, Rick, you're in the same boat where your business is newer to you, and I'm in the same boat with the new place we took over. And yeah, I'm concerned about losing some people, but the reality is, if we plan our marketing strategy and we lose the ones that aren't good customers or good fits for our business, and we continue to market and gain the ones we do want, and we work and we set that expectation, maybe we suffer for the first year or so, but then as we go every year, we're really bettering ourselves. So it makes a lot of sense. It really.
Yeah, well, when I took over, I lost a big fleet account that we had, and it wasn't by any fault of ours. They ended up getting bought out by a big corporation, and it was a small mom and pop heating and air conditioning company, and he sold out, and next thing they're nickel and diming me. They want to know why I'm not putting $3 Autolite spark plugs in their Nissan NV van. And trying to explain that to a guy who's all about numbers, it doesn't work. I try to explain to them that the factory plugs lasted in there 120,000 miles. I'm going to put back in there what's going to... They don't want to hear that. They don't care about that. They want it fixed cheap for the time being, and they don't care about longevity. Where the old owner, when he brought his truck in here, he said, I don't care what it is, fix it. That truck is how I make money. I want it to stay on the road. They never had any major breakdowns when we were taking care of their vehicle. Now they're taking them to big chain stores and they're constantly broken down. They're falling apart, but it's a different owner now. But it sucked because they spent $100,000 a year with me, and we lost it.
So when you mention fleets, what percentage of fleets pay by check, and what percentage of your fleets pay by credit card?
Well, they paid by check. They would send me a check every month. The current fleet that I have now is a roofing company.
Do you give discount on? Are you willing to give discount to fleets for giving a check as opposed to credit card, or what are your thoughts on that?
I could. I could if I had to. But the problem with that is the guy who's in charge of the roofing company, he's working down in another town. So usually he'll pop in when he's up at the local office up here and pay. And he says, I can get you a check, but it's going to take another week or so by the time I see the lady at the office to cut it and all that other stuff. This is a company that never even looks at their bills. I could charge them 3% if I had to. They wouldn't even care. He never looks at a bill. He's similar to the heating and air conditioning company that we worked on, but just a smaller version. They're not spending as much.
Hold on, Rob. Something that you just said, if you get let's go physical cash, that money is yours immediately.
Yep.
You take a credit card, there's a lag, right? You've done the work, you've paid for the money, but there's a couple of days and Ron, we could probably speak to this next about, are there lags with Zelle? Are there lags with Venmo? I don't even know the answer. If you need to text to pay, how long do you have to wait for that money to be in your account?
So it's funny you brought that up. There's a couple things here. So Rick and Mark both brought up an interesting point here. So fleet service, everybody is moving towards, just like we talked about the Discover Cashback Rewards, companies have the same thing. And mostly, even if you're taking a credit card for them, are you on level 2 pricing? And that's most credit card companies are too small to do it. And it's called level 2 pricing. That means not you as a business selling to consumer, but it's a business selling to a business. So if you're taking a credit card for them, you'd actually probably prefer, I know we prefer cash, but you would make sure you're on level 2 pricing. So it's at the lowest interchange possible rate. They're doing this because the rewards on a corporate card are massive. So they also pay with things called pay cards. Brad, to your other point, so Venmo and Zelle, instantaneous. Credit cards, as long as you have your next day funding, which everybody offers it, which I don't know if anyone knows, just a simple little side note here. It actually takes 72 hours to the Federal Reserve. When I spend my credit card at Rick's shop, it takes 72 hours till the money really gets to him, even though his credit card company gives it to him the next morning. It's a loan. We're giving you a loan on yourself, knowing you already have the credit card receipts to prove that you're getting it. But it all still is next day funding because most shops are closing before 8. As long as you're closing before 8, it's in there by 8 a.m. the next morning. So everything's still pretty much instantaneous. The difference is, even if the credit card money's not there instantaneously, you're good for the money because you have the credit card digital markers to prove that you're getting the money the next morning, if that makes sense. No. But yeah, the pay cards on the commercial side, I can't tell you right now, as of last year, 8 out of 10 shops I looked at that had commercial fleet service are all being billed wrong to their merchant service company. because they don't know to look at level 2 and 3 pricing. Level 3 would be if you're doing jobs for the government, but most of you aren't doing commercial or corporate things for the government. But at least on the commercial side, you're being billed wrong 8 out of 10 times. So, yeah.
I don't know what
a pay card is. So if it's going to sound strange, if you go to your doctor's office right now, when your insurance company pays for the percentage, if your insurance company is billed for your visit $100, your insurance company says we're only willing to pay $37.80 out of that. They don't pay your doctor's office with a check. They don't pay them with cash. They are digital. It's called a pay card. So it's like a digital credit card. It doesn't actually have a physical card behind it, but it's a digital number that they input in. And the funny part is they all mostly, just so you know, the insurance companies charge them 3% to do it. Yeah, even to your doctor's office. So everybody's doing it on a very large scale. Down to your level, and Rick's defense is in the local level, not as much yet. But on the larger corporate level, it's been being done for years, which is why you can't pay PICO without paying a convenience fee.
Okay. Right. All right. Interesting. All right. So I just noticed the time. This has been fun. Just like we were told this is supposed to be a conversation, and I felt like it was that. So that's great. Thank you for taking the time. What I'd like to do before we actually wrap up, or in the way of wrapping up, is I'd like to do just go around the room and the final thoughts, questions, if you have them still, or maybe next steps in your own process or journey on this. And I don't know, but how about let's go in reverse order. Mark, how about if you start us off?
The old guy, huh? So bottom line, I think that a theme that we have here is you need to evaluate your business. You need to evaluate your customer base. You need to evaluate your costs. And I think you need to make changes that are right for you and your business. And dual pricing seems to make sense, but you got to evaluate your business.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Who's next? Rick, Jared, you want to go?
Okay. Yeah, one quick takeaway here, Rob was talking about the level 2 pricing. I'm going to make sure I look into that. That's something I wasn't aware of, so I want to make sure I check that too. But yeah, like I said, coming here, this is something that I've been thinking about, and I plan to continue and implement something this next year. It's just a matter of getting my ducks in a row and doing the right thing. Zelle, something I haven't done. I thought Zelle had a charge, but I'm going to look into that too. And see
right now, yeah,
that's a lot of people use it, and it's wise and it'd be good for us. So we'll be here. We'll keep moving along. It's just get to learn and figure everything out. I like learning new things. It's great. So thanks, guys, for all your input. I appreciate it.
And thank you. I appreciate it. Rick, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to it. Again, I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with it yet, but I'm definitely open to it. I think what may be a good idea, and I'm going to talk to, I'm tied in with Eastern Auto Parts with their Confidence Plus program, and they have these meetings and stuff once in a while, and I'm going to talk to them. Maybe we can get shop owners that are within a 10-mile radius. Let's get us all together, get us all on the same page. And if everybody agrees that we're going to do it, I think that would be a good idea. If we can get everybody doing it on the same page.
Well, yeah, because then, like you said, all that money you can invest back into your business.
Oh, yeah, I would love to put this $3,000 a month back into my business. Yeah, I would love it.
Might be a good idea to share the video. Right, Brad? Share the video with the group, like maybe give them some perspective of our conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can they have these classes where we can go to at their places, and maybe I can bring that up to them and say, hey, can we get all the shops in the area, together in your conference room? Let's have this conversation.
Or be a Napa Auto Care Center. So. Just kidding.
Fair enough. Yeah, so Rick, I'm really curious though, if you do it, please come back and let me know. Ask 10, but no, here one was ask 10 people under the age of 35, the same question, or maybe phrase it, be sure you're phrasing it at discount, under 35, how they feel about this. And then let me know about that too. So let me hear on both of us, please. I'm curious to hear that experiment. Rob, what are your thoughts?
No, I'm happy to hear everyone's perspective and thoughts on it. I'm glad there was questions and some good curiosity and good conversation here. I'm happy about this because at least we know that it's on the tip of everyone's tongue. They're talking about, thinking about it. So you just have to determine what's right for your business and when. And I'm obviously available. Anybody needs me, I'm happy to answer questions.
As we all three of us are here, right? The Mark, Bob, and myself, you have questions, we're happy to. If we don't know the answer, get the answer, right? Mm-hmm. So we're a resource for you on an ongoing basis. I plan on, I'm hoping to use something like this somewhat regularly, not specifically on this topic.
Right.
I'd be interested in hearing from anybody about what topics that repair shop owners have an angst with, passing credit card fees. And then we'll bring a handful of shop owners together and have that discussion about how they're addressing it and industry resources for that. So I'm open to hearing from you guys as well as others. We're going to be watching this at a later time on what those topics could or should be. Is it about the issues of hiring? Is it about the issues of text message marketing? Is it about CRMs? Who knows? Whatever is actually on your mind. Is it about uniforms? I don't know. So you let me know. How about that? But thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope that this helps you solidify in your own mind what your next steps are. So thank you.